You're listening to Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on LA Talk Radio.
G'day guys, welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Summer Helene, and we are on with my co-host, the baddest bear in the cage, Bear Fiorda.
That's me.
Welcome to the show. There's usually this intro I do. For those of you that have followed us over, we've been on air for like 10 years. I love my assistant is currently texting me like sponsors and shit. Don't do that, fool. I don't have the attention span right now. So we've been on air for about 10 years and we've just come over here. I'm actually really excited.
Oh, it's fantastic. I
like
it.
Sam. So we've come over here. We usually have our intro, which is, you know, the horrible side of Hollywood.
No, it's great. And we go through all the details of clawing your way to the top and all the things you should expect, like underpaid. Oh, it's not underpaid. No pay, 10-year internships, something way out in the realm.
But it's worse
ludicrous.
with what's going on right now with the strikes. So if you're joining us and you're not familiar with the strikes, basically they were trying to replace my whole industry with AI. They can't do it to him yet because AI doesn't know how to punch each other.
No, we're getting there though. It's scary. It's going to replace everybody. And then what are we going to do?
You have to look at the camera.
We're
doing video now.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm used to only talking to her.
TikTok for a living. You should know this.
You good point. Fair enough. Hi, I'm sorry about that, everybody.
So
no, it's weird to think about it because we're gonna get inevitably replaced by AI in most facets of life because it's just cost effective.
They can't replace me with AI. No, really. What are they gonna do? Some politician gets caught with a hooker? Be like, okay, we need ChatGPT to lie for us.
They do have there was a.
They're not good enough. I actually tried to use ChatGPT.
Yeah, there are two lawyers.
Don't tell my clients. I tried to use ChatGPT for that last time someone got in trouble, and they were like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, "No. The answer is that never happened. I never saw that woman before in my life, and I'm going to give money to victims of human trafficking."
There were two lawyers that got in substantial trouble because they didn't research for their case, and all they did was put it in ChatGPT to make their thesis and to cite their sources, and ChatGPT just made up everything, 100% all fake, and they took it to the judge. The judge researched what they said, called them in, and they got it's not sanctioned, but they basically what happens. It's called sanctioned. All right, great. They got sanctioned for just citing completely ludicrous and fake sources.
I'd like to
for
tell
an
you
actual case.
I went to law school and that's all I learned. So we've got a lot going on in Hollywood right now, aside from the strike, which I'm totally behind. And then we have super bad kind of shit the bed. I'd like to remind everyone, every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and Free MMA. We swear because we care.
Fuck yeah.
It's totally, it's called the Sean Patrick Flannery rule. He said the F word 73 times in 20 minutes?
It was a very short amount of time, but very fluid speaking too. He said it perfectly, strung it all together. But then what do you expect from one of the Boondock Saints?
I'm just saying, we usually have like cage fighters and actors on the show. So there's a lot of swearing.
That's okay. We've turned into a positive. It's for charity now.
Yeah, it is. And that stopped them from kicking us out of Comic-Con.
You know, I wanted to mention this as well. We were discussing how the strikes are going on right now in Hollywood. There's a part of it that not a lot of people are mentioning, and I think it's something interesting for you as well. They used to, way back when people go in and audition for roles and whatnot, they had to go to a studio, all the equipment be set up, and the only thing you have to do is act your part and play your lines against the person they have set up for you. When the pandemic happened, they shifted the cost of studio equipment, people reading lines to you if you had to hire people to read them back to you, all to the actors because you can't come into the studios anymore. You can go rent a studio for like $150, $200 an hour.
And they don't want to shift it back.
And they don't want to shift it back.
Well,
they want to keep all the costs on the actors.
Yeah, it's what always happens. But you have to remember. So I'm a member of SAG. I'm also a member of the Producers Guild. So for anyone that doesn't know, SAG-AFTRA, it used to be SAG and AFTRA. It was the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. I was a member of both. I'm glad it's one now. It's only one set of dues. There are only about 160,000 members. In Hollywood at any given time, there are about 100,000 people who work full-time. I work predominantly with union people. I do have some non-union people I work with.
I guess that's me.
Cage fighters aren't union yet. They should be.
Hey, one day we'll get our dues. And then we'll have to pay our dues.
You do, but you should be union. And by the way, I think they should allow adult film actors and social media personalities into SAG. That's just my
The
opinion.
film actors for sure. Why do you say social media?
Because you guys should be a part of it. 1, it helps with retirement. 2, it helps with healthcare. And 3, it stops people from taking advantage. Because what you're seeing now in social media
Yes.
is a shift to people taking advantage of people that work in social media.
I can see that there are companies that would reach out to me and friends of mine who basically they'd say, hey, I will I'll agent you. I'll find you jobs. I'll find you representatives. And I'll find you promotions and things to be a part of. And it was all false, fake. Nothing happened at all. You just joined their program. They got to advertise that you're a part of them to get more influencers and more money and more sponsorship that never got kicked back to you.
But what you have to remember, you have managers. You actually have studio people you work with. Most people don't. So when shit like that happens to you, you have people jumping in going, pay him or we'll sue the shit out of you.
Right.
They don't have that. And most people, especially young kids coming up, it's easy to exploit them. I mean, if you look at Onision, he charged people a shit ton of money to help offer to get them famous. That's the least of what he did, but he did.
It's just a small smidgen of what his thing was.
Oh, I'm so used to things coming in live on Twitter while we're doing this. I've got Instagram going in the background. I had a nose job, to those that were asking over there. I broke my nose. He broke my nose. I'm lying. I broke my nose.
Scary.
I know. I'm going to blame you though. I can get away with it. There's a whole Me Too thing.
No.
Excuse me.
We're not going to invalidate. We're
in
not going to invalidate the real causes and the real actions that happen.
Exactly. We don't want to do that. We want to talk about Jake Paul's victims.
Well, we can.
No, he's a prick. Okay, so speaking of victims, I want to talk about Sarah Brady.
Sir, which one's that one?
She is a chick that used to date Jonah Hill.
She used to date Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Okay, did Jonah Hill do something to her?
Yeah, so apparently Jonah Hill is like a total incel. Shock.
So he got with her and then complained that she doesn't love him or that she never gave him a chance?
Got with a surfer chick. And maybe I'm a little biased because I like surfing. I'm lucky. My partner doesn't care if I surf or wear a bikini as long as I don't make him get in the water where sharks could be.
That's perfect. I love this. I love this strategy you have going on. It's great. Keeps me safe.
I'm a little biased, but he didn't like her putting up surf pictures.
Okay, so he had a problem with her showing her body to her audience. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, and so she's in law school in Hawaii. She's an environmental activist lawyer, by the way. I love people like that. I'm in it for the money. So people that like you run a nonprofit, people that do good things, I love you all. I mean, it's not me, but I love you all.
So she's doing all these wonderful things. She's obviously a positive influence to tons and tons of people. And so he had an issue where she's wearing this bikini online and everyone can comment on it.
Yeah.
And what he broke up with her?
He takes her to a counselor, gets this counselor to convince so there's something that people do. I don't know if a lot of people know about this. There's a form of gaslighting. I know that phrase is used almost consistently, but in this case, I mean it specifically.
Right.
And what they do is they use therapy speak to convince you of certain things. And so he said, you're crossing my boundaries by speaking to other men while you surf. So the counselor told her to paddle her ass away and say, I have a boyfriend. So if someone comes up to her and is like, hey, how's the water? Or hey, have any waves come through? How long's it been since the last roll? Whatever. She's supposed to say, I have a boyfriend. It is like the dating equivalent of, don't touch me there. That's my purse.
So, okay.
Because she's not allowed to
I'd
talk
say
to them
this
because
Jonah Hill, I would have expected better from him, actually. Because he went through that. He was huge for a long, long time. I get that may cause him insecurities, but he lost a lot of weight. He looks awesome. I can't imagine why he would still feel.
I don't think it's about weight.
What do you think?
Okay, I was a Victoria's Secret model, right? I was built for it, but I was not Miranda Kerr.
Okay.
Everyone can be insecure. Everyone. No matter how you look or what you do. And working in entertainment is going to make you more insecure, not less. They make you wear fake tan.
Okay, yeah.
I
do get a spray tan just before every fight. I got to look even.
And how often do they pluck out your hair?
Regularly. I don't lose all my hair before a fight. I just have to look even.
So for a person whose whole job is punching people in the face, your body is constantly critiqued.
It is. It is constantly critiqued, whether it's in videos, whether it's in the cage, no matter what it is, someone's looking at me and they're talking about the way I look. I
mean, you've been called chunky.
What
I thought you were going to cry when someone called you flabby when they made him gain weight for a fight.
He was so nice the whole time. And he's like, hey, about this fight, you you look kind of flabby. Why do you look so dramatically obese in this fight? And I'm like, damn, man, I took it at a weight up. They needed me heavier. I'm sorry.
He fights at 185 and they had him at 205. And so he's like eating
I'm
pizza.
all pudgy. I got a little bit of a muffin top and the dude's picking on me for it.
I know. You didn't even have shorts in that size.
No, I didn't. My shorts were too small.
It was great.
But, I want to double back real fast because we were discussing how people can be very easily taken advantage of in this industry, but not just in media, but general public. The people who follow specific influencers can be very easily taken advantage by them as well if they have that intention.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about, what did Alexis call her? Alexis, for those that don't know, is my assistant, my gal Friday. She's a dominatrix in her off time, so I'm very afraid of her. But so she calls me and she's like, hey, have you heard what happened with this Titanic cunt? I'm like, what is that?
Huh? I'm cueing you.
What? No, not that.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, what is that? So I got an explanation of what that is.
Yes.
And she sends me this thing on Colleen Ballinger.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's who I was alluding to anyway, so that works out for me.
I know. Well, I guess Charles is going to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Can you, so I'm going to say, Sam, can you cue him in?
How you guys doing?
G'day.
Good.
How you doing? So I usually
I'm
do
doing
the,
well.
oh, sorry. There is a time lapse. This is new.
Okay, we can do it.
All right. Can you hear me, guys? Can you guys hear me okay?
We can absolutely hear. We'll just provide a second between us talking and listening to you to make sure that we get it in for the show. That's all.
All right, cool.
So tell everyone a little bit about yourself. I usually do the intros, but I broke my nose and back. It was great. And Alexis just gave me a shit ton of Vicodin before the show, so I can sit up straight. Don't tell anyone.
All right, cool. Well, my name is Charles Perallo. I'm a content creator through YouTube and TikTok, where somehow I found myself doing a lot of pop culture and entertainment content. I started off doing business news stories, but these sold a lot better and got a lot more views. I had about 150 million views during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. So now I cover this, and I guess a video about Colleen Ballinger led me here. But
Yes.
I also got to go back to the Jonah Hill thing for 1 second, because you guys forgot a major component of that story. You ready for it?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
He's actually, after the girlfriend came out showing those text messages, Alexa Nicolas, I think that's how I say her last name. She was an actress on Zoe 101 in the
Yes. Yeah.
2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she made like some pretty bad accusations on him, where it's like
Yeah.
when she was 16, he grabbed her at a party and like was forcing his tongue down her throat. And she's made a lot of accusations. Like there was some very bizarre stuff with Family Guy, but so you don't know what to believe and not believe. But like, I mean, he right away jumped to his lawyer. Like his lawyer, it was not even like a tweet saying not true. He had the lawyer on day one there, and like, I mean, his lawyer apparently might be suing his ex-girlfriend right now.
Oh,
So,
wow.
It's funny. When I was modeling for Victoria's Secret when I was like 16, I went to a lot of parties because I had to. I had, my mom was involved, so she'd follow me around. Anyone looked at me, she'd scream jailbait. I was really lucky she was involved. I had people like Seth Green absolutely hit on me, found out I was 16 and bailed so fucking fast. Totally appropriate, really nice dude, by the way. So you find guys like that. Usually, though, among the girls, there are stories about guys that behave that way. And I never, ever heard that about Jonah Hill. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it. And she said, well, the girls he preys on aren't in the industry or didn't stay in the industry. And that, I think, makes a difference. Because you report on celebrities. So, when you start looking into this stuff, there's always, when someone fucks up, like there's always a few cases or a few people that have said something before. It's never just the one-off. So with Jonah Hill, when you start to hear other people coming out, it does lend some validity to it. And I don't want it to.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's kind of a big jump between the two stories. Like, with his ex-girlfriend, he's a jerk, a bad boyfriend. The other one is a much worse story. But I think when it comes to the case with the first girlfriend and what you just brought up there, the entire complaint was she was trying to get more famous and build more fame. And you can kind of tell through those text messages, he doesn't want her to do that. So I think that's a good point. Like, he doesn't want to date a celebrity. He doesn't want to date an Instagram model.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should have his career ruined over just being, a weird partner, a bad partner. The second one,
No.
that's the story that I think is going to bite him in the ass.
See, fixing the first one would be really, really simple. All he needs to do is come out with this story, be like, look, okay, yeah, I'm an insecure boyfriend. Like, I was a fat boy, it was hard to get girls. Yeah, I was jealous, and I'm really sorry if I hurt her. I did not mean to. And to her, I'm really sorry. These are boundaries for me. And while they may not be for you, I didn't mean to hurt you. And so if he did that, that's an easy fix. So many people would feel for him because, I mean, what percentage of America is like obese? And especially young kids and young guys, that's an easy fix. But you're right. Touching the young girl, that's the point that you're like, is this a little more Woody Allen than I would have thought?
There you go. I mean, it's kind of like a weird thing to believe because he always seemed like a pretty stable actor, but
Yeah.
like the last couple of years, like just the way he's kind of presented himself, I feel like a little bit of an obnoxiousness from him, like
Oh my
in
God,
how he's
that
been handling. I mean,
fucking mental health documentary.
I
Sorry,
didn't even
I'm
see
sorry.
that.
Don't.
Yeah,
It's him kissing
whenever,
his own ass for like 2 hours on what a good guy he is for getting mental health help. I'm sorry, I sneezed.
yeah, that's whenever there's like, I always kind of feel like when a celebrity goes like down the motivational mental health route, you just know they're going to be a narcissist. Like there's some sort of deep problem.
I hadn't
Like
thought of it that way, but I think you just hit the nail on the head. I'm trying to think of one
no,
that didn't crack up later, and you're right.
Well, if you really think about it, the guys who are always like the most nonchalant people, like the Adam Sandlers of the world, the ones that don't have to prove they're a nice guy, they always end up turning out to be the nicest people on the
Yeah,
planet. Like the ones that have to like, go out and like okay, because like, look at like Ben Affleck when he was doing all those interviews about politics and he's on Bill Maher talking about all the
yeah,
views. And then like, at the same year it comes out he's struggling with all these addiction issues.
yeah.
It's like you kind of like I feel like once they try to like move out of being a normal person and try to become some sort of thought leader, it all just goes to hell
It
very
goes to
quickly.
shit. Yeah, I think you hit the
Yeah,
nail on the head
actually,
there.
that reminds me a lot of like when we see people come up with these get rich quick schemes, or they host like a 2-hour seminar for 10 grand a person to come in and learn how to build a business from them. Whenever you see a
Tony
celebrity
Robbins.
go down that route as well,
Mm.
same thing.
Yeah, no, and also it kind of relates a little bit, getting back on track to Colleen Ballinger.
Mm.
It kind of feels the same because she was trying to build a community with her audience, and man, that did not work out for her.
No,
Yeah, I
no
think sending sexually
underwear.
solicit photos, underwear, it's just the worst things the things you should never send to a kid, first of all, but the worst things you could send.
No, the only thing she could have, I'm not going to repeat what she could have sent that was worse. Like, we're not going to do that.
No.
But all I'm saying is like discussing her sexual activities with her husband, sending nude pictures of Trish Paytas. Like, do you know how like big a dick you have to be for everyone to be like, oh, poor Trish Paytas? I know she was a dick to you. Like, she was a total dick to you. Actually, you're probably not
Yeah.
like, you're probably not like poor Trish Paytas.
I was like, I actually have nothing against her. If I would love to talk to her. Like, I mean, because I remember, I never even really, because like, when it comes to the more entertainment industry, I've always followed like, directors and writers and the financial side of it. I didn't follow the more tabloid side of it until like deeper I got into doing videos. So I actually had no idea who Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas were. And next thing you know, they're talking about me on my show, on their show. And I get 20 phone calls in 30 minutes from like the most random people you could imagine, like in my life. Like my dad's old assistant, who was like a nurse, she like finds my phone number. And I was like, do you know you're on the H3 podcast?
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And like at the time, like I will say this, I had to make the joke. Like I don't know what like because she had like the rainbow hair at the time,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, what is like this is what my life is becoming. But regarding like with Colleen Ballinger though, it is a weird thing where I feel like there's a category of content creators, and it goes to celebrities too, but I think content creators where they do content that caters towards children, like what seems to be what her niche was for the last 13 years. And then you get to the point you're a 37-year-old woman, and I think it's that might have been a little bit of it. But I also think this might change the entire industry for content creators in a way, because like I'm very active through the YouTube community page. I reach through polls and quizzes probably about 2 to 3 million people per day and votes right there. And I do post some personal stuff about my life, nothing like that, but like I've
God,
written
I
about
hope
like, okay, what's
not.
it like being Well, yeah, no, but I have written about stuff about like what is it like to, work out every day? What's it like to be
Yeah.
single at 28 or things like that. And I get messages on Instagram, and Instagram's the one social network I'm really not that active on, but I get messages like all the time that are like, there was a dude one time, he was from the Philippines, and it had to be like a 7-page long thing about his life, like his entire life, all the troubles he was having right now. And like I screenshot it and like I thought it was gonna end with him asking me for money, and he doesn't. He was honestly just seeking
Yeah.
life advice, which I thought was really cool. And like I sent it to like, like a friend of mine, and he was like, Charles, I really think you should write something nice back to this guy because we don't want Philippines Joker edition. And I do.
Yeah.
And
God.
then 6 months later, he messages me. Yeah, and 6 months later, he messages me again saying he lost 70 pounds, got a job, and was feeling nice. And I'm like, did I do that? Did I like so
Yeah.
so there is like the like and like a lot of these content because I look, I'm definitely not like the biggest player in the world with YouTube, but I do have, over 600,000 subscribers. I've had over 700 million views through YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. So
And
that's what the layperson will call a fuck ton.
I would say in this industry, it's mediocre. In this industry, it's mediocre. It's like some
Well,
people,
it
it's great,
impresses me.
but hey, thank you. But no, but like I tell people like, and I was just at VidCon, we were talking to other creators. I'm like, you guys check your Instagram messages to see what people send you. I'm like, we almost all see every one, like, because it's not like
Yeah.
we get 1,000 messages per day. Like it's normally like, you know, 5 to 20 people tops. And like, we too, some of them I'll just like, write off where it's like, okay, this is nuts. But like if somebody does message like asking like legitimate life advice, like I mean, sometimes I have no idea how the hell, people think I'm qualified to be this person. Like 3 weeks ago, a guy messaged me asking for advice about his boyfriend and how he booked a vacation with him, but they just broke up and they still want to go together. And I'm like kind of sitting there, I'm like, well, yeah, I've been kind of single the last year. I'm straight. I don't know if I'm your man for this, but here's my advice anyway. Like, but take it with a grain of salt. And we're just kind of like, we're just so, but like, so I kind of versus the Colleen Ballinger thing, I think it was kind of like, she probably had a rabbit hole where she, in my opinion, was kind of like using as an outlet. And sometimes you do
Yeah.
talk to these people who message you and you do sort of tell them things you wouldn't even tell your own friends because it kind of feels like, hey, there's just some guy online and they're
Anonymous.
giving you the attention. So yeah, and like, I think she had a bad marriage. She, had some issues with her personal life. So here's thousands of people she could talk to at any moment of the day that will treat her like a rock star. And that's where I think the rabbit hole happened.
What do you think about her little like sleuth of 15, 20? I don't remember how many people were exactly in the group chat that she would have personal messages with
Well,
on her phone. The kids that were following her and having these kind of interactions with her.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say that I look at like I love that you guys get asked for life advice. All I get is dick pics, like hundreds of dick pics a day. You guys he gets life advice, you get life advice. I get penis.
I get dick pics too.
You get
sometimes,
dick
though, to
pics
be
too.
honest with
Yeah.
you.
I do get a few of those as well.
Okay, so
Here,
it's not
here.
just me.
Well,
I feel
no.
bad.
There was a girl at like a bar I was at, and she's like, "You must have girls on social media hit you up all the time." And I'm just like sitting there like, "Yeah, no, that never happens." And I'm like, I got a lot of dudes messaging me,
Yeah.
but like, and I was like, I'm like, yeah, but regarding what was going on with Colleen Ballinger though, with these like, the personal messages, I think it started off as a rabbit hole for her, where it was some sort of emotional outlet in her life where it's like, marital issues, career issues, and you can just relieve yourself feeling like a rock star. But I have no idea what mentally was wrong in her mind that made her
To
think
do
this was
that.
an okay idea. Like,
I
it
think
makes no sense.
I think what catches me is I look at like I know Bear is friends with some of his mods. I'm sure you're friends with some of yours, but they're not kids. You're not talking about inappropriate stuff. And I foster kids. Like I take in foster kids and I look at how fucked up they get when adults interact with them in that way. I mean, even simple stuff. And so I look at what she's doing and it may not be intentional, but there's something, the disregard for the kids and the selfishness when her entire audience is children, I think is what's so rattling to me.
I
Yeah, and then and then like just the response, because this was something that was bad, but that video response made it, well,
Oh
I think
my
it's at 12.
god.
Oh, it's at like
Sorry.
12. Well, that's the most viewed video in the history of her YouTube channel right now, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sure
All
she's
right, I
proud
know
of
what
that.
to do. Lex, get me my ukulele.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, like like a 13-year career, 2 billion views or whatever it is, and your biggest thing is that video now. And
I
I
would
will say this,
I'd, I'd kill myself if I was her
I was
publicist.
impressed. I was impressed she was able to make it into a 10-minute song. I was like, how the hell is she doing this? Like, there's some musical talent here, but there's no mental sanity. Like, if there's like genius insanity, they are right here right now.
Crossover.
This is the thing. And I'm watching this 10-minute thing, and I'm like, and it's just like a 10-minute video to say you're sorry, and the entire thing is like, I'm sorry, but here are all the reasons I'm not. And
Yeah,
it is
I'm
just the absolute career death. Like it's a
she's
disaster.
ooh,
I,
like she it's not an apology video. It's let me tell you why I'm the victim here.
I just love
Yeah.
your comment of musical talent, no sanity. That was fantastic. Great way to put it. Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
there's something I believe her when she says her team said don't do this, because I'm not a publicist, I'm a media strategist. I work with a lot of publicists. Cindy Honig, first female publicist, she saved Hugh Grant after the Divine Brown thing. Amazing woman. She would have fucking shot her. Like I look at the stupidity of it, and I wonder how far removed from reality are you? Like, her only get out of jail at this point is going, I'm mentally ill, and it's believable.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right now, I honestly feel YouTubers are more in their public eye to fans than like celebrities are. Like, this
Well,
is a
yeah.
question I always ask. Well, this is a question I always ask people because I always kind of put it like, a comparison. Who is more relevant with people ages 18 to 35? Timothy Chalamet or Mr. Beast or
Mr.
Logan Paul?
Beast.
Or Logan Paul. It's like, and it's like Timothy
Well, hang
Chalamet
on.
for
Logan Paul lost ground when he went to the WWE. Mr. Beast didn't. He is in everyone's home every single day. Logan Paul isn't posting like that anymore.
Yeah, but Logan Paul's not posting that much, but even when he did with just like, scaling it down in 1 year, like, okay, body armor, his protein or whatever, not protein, his sports drink, which is not even a very good sports drink if you look at the ingredients.
No.
That thing, so Kobe Bryant, sorry, not body armor, Prime. Kobe Bryant did body armor, and he did it with the co-founder of Vitamin Water, which sold for $4 billion. Logan Paul with Prime has, in the first year, it got the amount of sales it took them 4 years with Kobe Bryant and the founder of Vitamin Water to do with body armor. It is insane what that guy is capable of. So, I look at like the comparison of YouTubers and like
I do have to jump in and say, but they used Kobe Bryant. Like, you're right. I agree with you. But I mean, he might have been acquitted, but you don't use a guy that's been accused of rape to do sports drinks the same way. You're still right. Like, you're still dead right. I still wouldn't have used Kobe Bryant.
He was still the biggest guy in the NBA. And like, Logan Paul's had his scandals too. So, Logan Paul's scandals weren't as bad as that, obviously. But like, it just shows the power of what these YouTubers are. But they do have like, and there's been a lot of scandals. Like David Dobrik was a big one about a year or two ago.
Yeah, I remember.
There was, honestly, with Colleen Ballinger, it is the most similar to James Charles by far.
Well,
where
James,
it's like,
James Charles was trying to fuck the kid, though. Like,
yeah,
James
and
Charles was trying to fuck the kid. Like, that's worse.
Now, I'm not going to say this is a defense of James Charles, but I think at the time he was 21 years old. So there's definitely a little bit of a gap here between a 35-year-old woman and a 21-year-old. And also, she was talking to people I think were as young as age 12. His were, I don't know what the age was, honestly. But there's definitely, I think the comparison though is James Charles seems to still be working. Obviously, he's got a handicap in his career. He's like, his legs are
Not where he
broken
was,
basically. Yeah, if he didn't have that right now, he'd probably have some billion-dollar makeup brand or something going brewing in the process.
Right.
But I think it was almost the action of just like apologize, continue making content and hope, like, cross your fingers people forget. Colleen Ballinger did the exact opposite, and nobody will ever forget this video.
Well, that's
No, and I
what's a
think it's
face.
important to
Illuminati
note
did the
that
same thing.
if,
Not the same action,
I
but
think
like
it's
the
important to
same
note that
trying to
when it
carry
comes
on.
to content creation, if you get involved in anything scandalous, anything that public eye is really going to have bad taste in their mouth about, you never want to not only make a huge address to it, you never want to continue to address it. You need to let that stuff die and go away because you don't want it to haunt you. I think whenever we see these big YouTuber apologies, these over-the-top dramatic, who's that one? Like the one girl who did like a whole choreographed dance as a type of apology, not even like actually speaking to the camera.
I'm trying to think of who. I don't know who that is. I'm trying to think of who that would be.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's another female content creator. It was terribly done. But if you have a problem, if you do something awful, say you're sorry. I agree with you there. But don't make a 10-minute ukulele song about it.
I disagree.
Don't draw it out.
Don't say you're sorry. Saying you're sorry owns it. You have two options. You can own it or you can spin. If you and ukulele is never the answer. Just heads up.
That was her version of
if you
spin.
No, that was not spin. And if I was her strategist, I if I was a publicist, I'd kill myself. If I was her strategist, I'd kill her. No. You can spin or you can own it. And depending on what you did, you get caught with a hooker, own it.
Mm-hmm.
You do something that makes you look. So if you choose something that doesn't necessarily make you, if you're hurting women, hurting kids, hurting animals, you can't spin shit. It's over. Fuck you.
Well,
but
I think this is actually probably the best example I can give. I'm going to go to politics. Donald Trump, the difference between him and every other politician is he never apologizes. All the other ones, they'll have like a little, flub here and there, nothing compared to what he says. And yeah, there you go. And also, I kind of think it's like, it also really depends on what industry you're in, I feel, because I think actors are probably because they have to deal with the studios. So they are the easiest ones to cancel, where if like, Aziz Ansari, who was publicly defended, after a girl wrote an I mean, that was just like, a girl complaining that he was a weird date or whatever, but everything was consensual, nothing was abusive. He still had, a lot of career pain from that because it's studios he's dealing with. But then you look at like someone like Floyd Mayweather, Drake, who their deal.
Aziz Ansari is also really difficult to deal with. They took that as the excuse to out him. So again, if you go to like Hugh Grant, who got caught with a hooker, he's easier to deal with. But when you have someone that's a pain in the ass, you can see it with like Henry Cavill over The Witcher. When you have someone who, and in his case, he's really passionate about the product. So they thought he was a pain in the ass. If you have like Aziz Ansari, he is a total perfectionist from what I hear and a real pain in the ass. And he's not a bad dude, but they took that as the excuse to cancel contracts, because in the contracts it says if you do anything socially unacceptable, we can stop you. There's a reason that, Ezra Miller still got to do The Flash and isn't working now. It isn't because of the girl, it's because he was a pain in the ass doing the movie.
Well, Ezra Miller, I think it was just everything. I think they just, they gave up on Ezra Miller. I mean, they got into that movie. They filmed it. Apparently, there were leaks that Miller was insane on set.
Yeah, he was.
And then they had one warning call, which was a month before filming. There was the choking incident in Iceland.
Yeah.
Then filming finishes, and I believe there were 17 police reports and calls against Miller in the state of Hawaii, 4 or 5 arrests. Then he goes back to Vermont. I want to say there were 3 or 4 things with Miller there.
Takes off with the woman, the kids, the guns. Yep.
It was the most insane thing. And then for Warner, it's just like, what are they actually going to do? They just spent $250 million on this thing. And they've got they got to own it.
They would have, if he hadn't been such a pain in the ass. I've worked on a lot of projects. I worked on like Guardians 1 and 2. There were no problems there. Everyone was nice. And I've worked on some big projects, I'm not going to say, where people did fuck up to that degree. You send them to rehab. You do a public cleanup. When you're never going to work with them again, that's when you let them fall on their face. And Warner was done. because he just wouldn't stop. And it was bad enough that it killed, Batfleck, who actually liked as Batman. It killed Wonder Woman. It killed Superman. They rebooted the whole thing with James Gunn. They were just fucking done. And it was all pinned on Ezra Miller, at least within the studios. I don't know about outside. But that's kind of the studio chatter, is he was just such a fucking problem, and he wouldn't even comply with the stuff they asked him to do in interviews to clean it up. He just told them to go fuck themselves.
Well, I wouldn't blame that all on Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller was kind of the final nail in the coffin for the DC universe, where Batman versus Superman was a very big financial disappointment. It made 700-800 million, but that was a title where the CEO of Warner at the time was projecting 1.2 to 1.5 billion. Then Justice League, they do the original cut with Joss Whedon. That loses 150 million. Yeah, loses 150 million dollars. And then every movie since, it was just, I thought it was okay. A little overrated in my opinion. But that's like, I mean, whenever I mention, I'm like, I just think Zack Snyder is like I never really call him a very good director. People are like, he's got a fan. Him and Henry Cavill have these fan bases where I'll never personally understand them, because I'm like, I've never seen a Henry Cavill performance where I'm like, oh yeah, this is like the next DiCaprio right here. Like, I've always thought it's a very wooden acting, but people, like, every video I've done that is like Henry Cavill will get millions of views, and he's a nice guy. Like, he seems like a nice guy who loves his craft. But like, I always kind of like, whenever I've asked, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if the talent is there. He's an exceptionally good looking man though. So,
it's funny. I don't find him overly good looking. He looks like my brother. So gross. But, the only thing I really liked him in, the only thing I ever liked him in was Superman. And the reason I liked him so much was because he didn't just do, usually you find foreign actors come in and they'll just do the standard American Californian accent. He actually chose a Midwest Kansas accent and put the work into doing that, doing the right region. And so I respect the shit out of that, because that's hard. I've done those accents. That I respect, but it's the only role I ever liked him in. I wasn't a Witcher fan, and I don't think I saw him in anything else. Don't tell anyone. So the only thing I liked him in was Man of Steel, but I'm also a huge Amy Adams fan, so that's why I watched the movie in the first place. I liked her in Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, they were just like, they kept on doing, but like for DC, I don't think Ezra Miller was really the end there. I think it was just kind of like, I mean, there was also, honestly, I think Dwayne Johnson might have been just as big of a factor, because,
that was bad.
well, because that was a $50 to $75 million loss. And Dwayne Johnson, I think we've learned, is a nice guy to people who are nice to him. But I feel like Dwayne Johnson as a person is someone who maybe has never in his life had to hear the word like no. Like, he grows up as the son of a third or fourth generation successful wrestler. By like age 16, he's like a 6'5" jacked up dude, wrestler, gets in the movie industry. And this was kind of like but all of the movies he's had that are successful, because if you look at his movie track record, the only ones that are hits are the ones where it's part of an ensemble cast, like, Jumanji and things like that. When he's the leader, the movies normally lose money. And he's wanted this movie for 15 years. And I'm seeing like his Twitter and, and how he's interacting there to people, like, because there was one complaint saying, I couldn't hear the movie that well. There was something wrong with the sound. And he responds back, I'm like, yes, it is very difficult to hear when too many people are cheering in the theater. And it's like, there's a little bit of like an ego to Dwayne Johnson. And I'm just like, but then, like, I mean, you could tell like through like how he reacted on social media, that man got crushed. And I feel like that was sort of the death of the DC universe. I think Ezra Miller, it was just kind of like, Black Adam, I think, was the death of the DC universe. The Flash was the zombie. Like, the Flash was like, this scandal heavy thing. They know it's not going to continue. They just want to, recoup some of the cash put into this. But yeah, I mean, if we really look at it, Ezra Miller is probably, when it comes to
I was going to say, I got to say though, like, I've never heard, not on one studio lot, a bad thing about The Rock. He sued me twice, and I've never heard anything bad about. Like, I'm still mad at him, but I've never heard anything bad about him. But I've heard exactly what you said. He's used to getting his own way, and if he sues me again for that, I'm not going to be thrilled.
I gotta hear.
I've heard exactly that.
I gotta know. Can I know what those lawsuits were over?
I will tell you after the show, because I'm not allowed to. But
I
I'll tell you
I
privately.
that is I gotta
Nothing
hear that
bad. Like he's
privately. It
not
will
like
not
a
go
douchey guy. It was over internet
it
domains and some stuff like that. But I'll tell you,
Oh,
I can
okay,
honestly
okay.
say,
Yeah,
like nothing
it'll
douchey.
not go into a video. Like
No.
it's kind of weird. There's a few stories people tell me, and like out of confidence, I can't put them on videos.
Yeah.
There's one actress I have a story about. It's nothing that she did wrong. It was about her mother, and I've been like itching so badly to make a video on it because the story is like it's not like messed up like the kid's scarred for life, but it's just so bizarre. I've been like wanting to say it for like literally a year right now, and I
You
can't.
gotta get third party confirmation. Like once you have an outside party from the person that told you do it, then you just like tell the story and blame it on the outside party. I'm just saying. Like
Yeah, I got
I'm just
I
saying.
got well, no, the worst part is I have 3 people who were there as witnesses on this, but it's
Mm,
like actually, I'll just say the story, but I won't say who the person is because this is
deal.
there's
Okay.
a child there's a female celebrity, child star actress, and not a child star anymore. And a friend of mine worked with her when they were younger, and they needed her to cry for a scene, so they gave her a teddy bear and had her play with it for like 5, 10 minutes, and then to get her to cry, they ripped it up in front of her, and then that's how they got like this. And I can never say who the actress was, but I heard this and I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to make a video on this because
That's
it is so effing
awful.
no, and like I mean, like I want to say the kid was like, I mean, the actress is like older now, like over 18, like 18 to 25. I'd have to check the name,
Yeah.
but like the idea of like that was like 6 years old or whatever you do that's like a six like because I'm just like and like they were saying like the mother was absolutely insane. Like the mother was because like the mother it was the mother's idea on the
I was
set.
about to
That was
say
the
getting
worst part.
approval for that would have had been getting the
Dude,
approval for that in my mind from the adult, from the parent would have been immeasurably impossible to do that
I like
unless they're the one supporting it.
I don't even produce anymore, but I wouldn't let that happen on one of my sets. Like fuck that noise. That's
No,
awful.
I No, and like I heard this story, and I'm like, oh God, I can't say this. Like, and I like almost like I'd say like once a month, like I bite my tongue. I'm like, oh God, I would love to do a video on that so badly because it's like I have 3 people, they were all there, and then they're just like it's like and like I mean 100% true, and it's like I can never say it. So like, and I like I'm gonna say like also doing videos on like the entertainment space. One of the biggest things that sells is like kind of the parenting stuff. Like
Yeah.
one video that YouTube videos take a little longer to go viral, especially on the shorts part versus TikTok. But one video that I'm expecting to do, just based because you can see the percentage viewed, and I have like a 97% on this video now, which is very rare for a minute long video. It's about Jackie Chan. It's like how he's never met his daughter, but he just had a video go viral about him and a girl who's supposed to be his daughter, like crying watching his movies, but it was just an actress. And his real
Oh
daughter he
man.
like is abandoned, never met. Yeah, like whenever you bring up like these people like celebrities or like their parents or how they are as parents, it like people really are obsessed with it. And it's like
It's
I mean
John
like
Lever.
I
It's
because I
John. Sorry. It's
yeah
John
no
Lennon
I
level
always just
parenting there.
yeah, and like I like say like there's some people who I would never guess would be relevant. Like I did not think like I because I was just like thinking one day I was like, okay, what would be a good video? I'm like, okay, well there were a lot of Gary Coleman stories. Let's cover like a little bit of his childhood, and I would never guess 3 to 5 million views with an audience that like is the average age is 27, and none of them were alive when his like when Different Strokes
Yeah.
was out. But like and Macaulay Culkin like these I mean even Jackie Coogan, there was a video I did 1 million views
Yeah.
on, like about him, the Uncle Fester guy. So, the idea, I mean, then there's Jeanette McCurdy, which is just, there's 100 videos on that story.
I think it says more about you as the storyteller than the content you make. If I put out a video teaching people a certain move in martial arts, but I am dull, I am boring, I drone on, it's 3.5 minutes where I'm rambling about how I used it once on some dude in the street. It's gonna go nowhere. No one gives a damn about that.
He's right. You're entertainment.
It's
You're
how you
entertaining.
portray and how you present your content. And you do it extremely well. You're very entertaining. I saw quite a few of your videos just pop up randomly, and I never even looked into what's happening in media, what's happening with famous people or modern day news.
It's true. Every time I try and
Well,
talk to him about it, he ignores me.
yeah, it was a thing where it's like I was explaining it to people like this. I came from trying to do business and public policy related news. So I applied that kind of like way of talking to entertainment. And I've noticed a lot of people tell me that for pop culture, I'm the only person they really see the content on,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
is a kind of a weird thing to be told. Like I mean, the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial was like one of the weirder moments of like my life because like every video on that was breaking 1 million views. Like that, like I mean, there's been a couple times like Stranger Things when that came out, covering that was big, but Johnny Depp was like nothing else. And the idea that that is breaking hundreds of millions of views, and like there were people just like there when Amber Heard had a child with it was a surrogate,
Hmm.
and they people wanted me to cover that, and that was even pre-trial because I was still doing stories on it. I had about 50 to 100 people message me on Instagram that day saying, "Hey, could you cover this? Like, do a video on this?" And that one I did a video on it, and I was like, yeah, by the way, I think we should just kind of be cool here, like we don't have to ruin a kid's life, guys. Like I
Hmm.
and like and there were people in the comments on that. I was like, oh, he was way too nice in this video. I'm like, yeah, I'm not that much of a prick.
But that's why I like watching you, is because with most
So,
people there's so much of their opinion in it. I hear that shit every day, and you kind of go through a breakdown on it, but you're very Alexis put it well. You're very linear, you're very to the point, and you give information. And that's not always something people do. They're trying to sensationalize and go over the top. You're entertaining, but you're also factual. I am going to say we are
Yeah.
towards the end of the show. I want to give a quick
Okay.
shout out to Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon in Palm Springs, California. Thank you for always making me red carpet ready. KM Extends and Hair Extensions. They do all my wigs for the red carpets. And Off-Road Rentals in Palm Springs, California. We are doing a giveaway. You tell me which one of your videos of his is your favorite and why. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Insta at TuneInBTS, and you can win a free ride at Off-Road Rentals in Palm Springs, California. That's our giveaway for this week. I had another one, but I totally forgot what it is. I'll type it in later.
fair enough.
Can you tell everyone where to find you?
At Charles Perallo, at Charles Perallo, Peralo, and I got that pretty much in every social media. So there we go.
That's the best way to
I've
do
been
it.
pronouncing your name wrong in everything for the ads for this.
How'd you How did you say it? How'd you
Oh,
say it?
no.
Perella.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
oh.
and it's like I'm not going to send you some
You know,
links. Lex, pull everything down. Like, it's all
that
wrong.
is, I'll give you this. That's still, I interviewed Mark Cuban a year ago, which
Mhm.
and
Well,
he
that must
in
have
the
been
interview
fun.
said Peralta. Oh, that was a cool one. And in that interview, he said Peralto 3 times. Like I'm like, where'd the T come from? And I'm not gonna correct the dude, but I'm like at the end of it, I'm like, where's the T? But yeah, but but that's not that bad.
Okay,
No
so
worries,
I was
man.
like, I feel terrible. I didn't know the ads.
Fair. Hey, you know now. And as we get close, we got about 3 minutes left to the end of the show. Is there anything you'd like to say to your audience, our
You have to
audience,
tell
get
everyone
it
to
out
follow
there?
you. You forgot your shout outs.
Oh, I'm Bear Fiorda. Follow me everywhere. Bear like the animal, Fiorda.
He
See,
punches people in the face.
I can do dirty plugs too.
No, I think I'm trying to think like right now it's like well obviously there's the strike and it's kind of amazing like what's going on with that right now where it's like I feel like AI is just sort of the thing that sparked the conversation, but there's just I think like I don't think people like going to like the writer's strike versus the acting one. Actually I think acting might apply to this as well. I think where this all kind of comes in is like people are talking about AI, they're talking about treatment. I think the real issue that's gonna be discussed is how residuals work in the streaming world, where it's like,
Yeah.
let's just take something like Friends. Like, the cast of Friends make $10-20 million a year off cable residuals. To my knowledge, they get nothing off of the streaming money. So it's like, and then you have
Yep.
all of these, like, shows and movies on Netflix and all these platforms. There's yet to be any contract that has it. So I think that that's gonna be the thing that decides both of these strikes how it goes. Like, is there gonna be some sort of fund, like a bonus fund?
It
Like,
should
I don't
be.
know what the yeah, I don't know what the resolution is, but it's like it's kinda
Right.
crazy. Like, there was, like, one writer who, I won't name, he was I'll just put it like this, he was a former, Simpsons writer, so that's, like and they've had about 100, so it's, not the n
You're
n
safe. You're
there's a
good.
long
You're
list there.
clear.
Yeah. He was telling me that he refuses to write anything for a streaming platform at this
Yeah.
point because he said, at least with cable, if there's a rerun or something, I get a cut of that. He's like, if I write something for Netflix, it's one check and done. So I think that's where the whole strike is gonna, we're gonna resolve this.
Well, as we progress with that strike and it continues and we get more information about it as the day goes on, could we get you back on the show to discuss it as it progresses?
Anytime.
I'll hold you to it. That's legally
Just
binding
send me a
contract.
message.
That's legal. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I am going to say, just from a again studio perspective, I've worked in front of the camera, behind the camera. With the streaming platforms, a lot of people they can pull on, they can get around union rules, and that leaves stunt workers in a bad position. It leaves people in a really bad position as well. I don't personally, residuals are a big deal, but look up one day how many people actually die doing these shows for streaming platforms as opposed to, because they don't have to follow the same rules, as opposed to studio stuff. That was something I found this out like 2 days ago. I was really surprised.
That might end up being a video this week.
Hey, here we go.
Yeah,
that could be a video this week.
So thank you very, very much for joining us. And make sure you're following Charles. I'm going to say it wrong again.
Parallo. There's no
Parallo.
Right? Oh my God. I fucking quit. Okay, guys. Guys, tell me how to remember his name and you can win the Ride It Off-Road rentals.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. I also have some shoes to give away to a person, a bunch of shit. So tell me how to do that, guys. I'm Summer Helene. We're on with my co-host, Bear Fiorda, and our special guest, Charles Parallo.
Thank you.
I fucking quit. We'll see you next week. Good night.
You're listening to Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on LA Talk Radio.